Good morning, all. My name is Shubho Nath. As Derek mentioned, that I work for CSM Bakery Solutions. It's a bakery products company, and I have been with IT not 20 years, but getting there, getting older. So in my IT experience, I have worked in different technology, different platform, IBM, Windows, Unix environment, as well as in different BI area as well. So let me just talk about the agenda first, and then we'll take it from there. I can do that, right? Okay, I'll do that. So this is the agenda for today, the introduction, which Derek has already mentioned about it. We'll talk about some best practice BI, because we are talking about BI, so let's talk about some best practice. And I really wanted to make it an interactive session so that I'm not talking and you guys fall asleep. And please interrupt me whenever you have any questions, because I really wanted to make it a two-way conversation. We'll be talking about the BI used in food, retail, and transportation. And of course, we are talking about BI, so if we don't talk about big data, then it's not complete, right? So we'll talk about the big data and, of course, the Q&A, which can go all the time. So, of course, the question comes, why BI? So business intelligence is around for now, of course, 2 decades, probably more than that. And BI is something all the industry needs, is small or big or whatever the sector they are working on. It's just about slicing and dicing data, empowering the business, empowering the users, trying to cope up with the competitor. Where do we get the information real quick? And of course, the need is changing all the time. So how do you cope up with it? You cannot do with your client server application or a big mainframe. So that's why the BI comes in the picture. So and BI can start from your spreadsheet. That's the way, and of course, right now, spreadsheet is also a popular way to do the BI. Even though we have all new technology comes there, at the end of the day, business is really comfortable working with spreadsheet. Can I do the slice and dice in spreadsheet? Can I do the pivot table, right? So that's what the BI is about. Now, with that, you have to have a specific strategy around it. As we are talking about it here in the conversation, is that we have so much of data around the world, and with that IoT coming in the picture, Internet of Things, we are producing data every moment, every second. We have never realized in the history 3 years back. Now, with that data comes your strategy. How do you go with your business strategy? Again, at the end of the day, IT can excel when they can mesh together with our business strategy. So we really need to have a strategic framework. How do you want to go about the BI? I want to use my Microsoft stack or the IBM stack or XYZ stack or Hadoop or any big data structure. What is going to be my strategy? So this should come from the leadership team and can filter it down all the way to the bottom. And of course, need to work with our business. So we can talk about the BI strategy probably for the all day long. Just wanted to give you the perspective about what we'll be, what I'll be talking about later on. So that's why I wanted to touch that. And with that comes the technology landscape. Technology landscape with the BI. As you know, there are so many partners there. And here is the latest Gartner quadrant for BI. Can you see that? Is it coming? Good. All right. So you see on the right corner, where is the leader? You have Tableau, ClickView, SAS, SAP, IBM, TIBCO, and the Oracle MicroStrategy. And I'm really interested in that. What is that? The left corner, that ability to execute. And there are a few of the players. I think probably look out for it. For example, Pentaho is a big player is coming up. Yeah, and they are doing a lot of acquisition. And they can come on board really good. They have come a long way, and they are moving faster. So this is the again there you have only few of the BI tools right here, but there are so many out there, so many. All right, let's talk about my practical use of BI, what I have been using BI for. Again, as in my experience, I have used BI as well as many other applications, but without BI, IT professional cannot probably complete their life cycle. In the food manufacturing, right? When you talk about the BI strategy, it's important to know what business you are in. I mean, depending on the business you are in, your strategy is going to change. In the food industry, we talk about the raw material. Raw material in the sense milk, sugar, egg, wheat, or anything to go with the cake, cookies, or pastries, procuring that, and making it a nice contract around it. What's the contract? Because if you think about it, I want to buy the raw material for the cheapest price if possible, so that I have a competitive advantage. So that's my procurement intelligence I need to have around. Now, with that, you need to have a solid manufacturing, the lean manufacturing. You talk about the Six Sigma, all process, lean process, and whatnot. So that comes with your like a manufacturing industry. We have to have those things in blend. After the manufacturing comes, you have to deliver it. You cannot keep it in the inventory. Or there comes your inventory cost. How do you do your turnover? How do you push it to the customer real fast? And of course, you try to do just in time as much as you can. Of course, it's not possible all the time. So there comes your network optimization, the logistical logistical optimization. Now, after you deliver it, you get the money back. Now, the salespeople go on their way. They sell cookies or pastry. Yes, I can do it for $1. But really, in reality, you probably it cost you like $1.05 to build it, and that means you are losing money there. So how do you take care of all those things? It comes with the BI as well, and it's like, you know, when you are in a sales cycle, there are so much of complexity comes with it, that if you sell $1 million, then I'll give you $100,000 rebate, or the other way around, right? So there are so many contract comes there. You really have to take care of all of them very well, so that you really, at the end of the day, you are making money. So that's all about knowing the business. That's very well, and that's how you can put your IT strategy. So I touched a little bit about it. So finance. So in the finance, the one we do is that period end closing. Every company has their sales, has their financial booking, and most of them typically go with, you know, fiscal year 445 or a calendar month. Right now at CSM, we are at a 445, but our CEO is thinking that no, our CEO has come from Coke, and he is used to the calendar month. So we'll go with a calendar month, period and closing. At the end of the day, at the end of the period, you really need to know how are you performing. Are you really making money, or we are just sitting here wasting our money? So the financial closing is a very key to sustain your business, and also you need to, the management is really anxious to know about the financial results, like immediately after the period is closed. But if you think about it, throughout the month, you have so many transactions going on, you have so many reconciliation, you have damages, you have returns. There are so many different attributes you have for throughout the month, and you are going to reconcile it at the end of the month. Gets really complicated, and of course, it's a very tedious work. And if you see the finance department at the end of the month, I mean, you will be seeing probably they will be working 18-20 hours a day. They have to produce a report to the management. So we use the BI tool really well over there. We have those in the cubes, the finance cubes we have for the general ledger cubes. We have given that to the business users, so they can slice and dice data. They can reconcile the data, and then come back to our ERP systems and make it make the reconciliation. So the way our BI works, mainly so in CSM, is that this is a Microsoft BI stack. So it has a SQL Server, integration service, reporting service, and analytics service. And we have our ERP systems, which is Infor LX systems, run on the iSeries box. So if that ERP system runs every day, all the transaction, we run our nightly batch process. and then we suck the data from ERP systems and put it in our Microsoft SQL server, and then that's where we do all of our analytics. So that's our the technical landscape of like mainly so, but most of them are like that. So let's come to the procurement. The same thing for the procurement as well. We have information in the ERP systems. We move it to the SQL server, but in the procurement you have some more interesting attribute you have to really consider. Finance is more about inside the company what's going on, where is my sale, where is the reconciliation, where do I have the problem, that kind of things. But in the procurement, is about you are procuring the raw material, the wheat or milk or egg. You really need to know what is your commodity price is going to be 6 months out or maybe 12 months out. How do you know about it? It's like you are in the stock business, and so procurement is a extremely important function we have in manufacturing. If we are not procuring it right, we will be out of business very quickly. So in the procurement, what else we need to take care of? We need to have the demand planning. So what am I expecting from the customer down the line for next 12 months? What was my history, sales history for the last year or so? How the world economy is going? What is going to be my monsoon? What is going to be weather? Am I going to have good wheat in like down the line after 6 months or not? So depending on that, my commodity price is going to go and up. So so you can see that there are so many attributes you have in the procurement. So we ideally we really wanted to grab all those information from the market, blend with our existing CSM information, and come up with our procurement. Hey, this is the contract you have to buy. This is the contract you have to lock the price right now. That kind of information. But we have some information coming from the market, but mostly we go with our sales forecasting, demand planning, and help our procurement team that go ahead and book this price for 6 months or extend the contract for 12 months or so. That's how our procurement does works. Now with the procurement also, it's not about the raw material. You are thinking about all the plant we have to run, and we have in North America we have 13 plants. In Canada we have couple of plants. In Europe we have around 20 plants. And rest of the world we have few other plants. So altogether we are running around 35-40 plants, and some of the plants are as big as producing $100 million worth of sales. So they are huge, and so with that it comes your machine. You have to have those machine up and running all the time. If you have downtime for 6 hours, there you go, $6 million probably is gone. So you really have to think about how do you do your part management. And procurement comes really handy there, is that they have to be they have to have the right inventory, right stock of the plant all the time somewhere there, so that anything comes up with my belt, machine belt or anything, I can easily replace it. How do you do it? We have humongous data. So that's where we thought that we cannot do it in-house. So what we have done is that we have collected all the accounts payable information for all the vendor from where we buy all those machine parts. And there are, we spend, again, it's the number around 25 or 30 million dollars we spend on that preventive maintenance. So we capture those information from different ERP systems, and we send it to a consortium. So that consortium runs their BI tool. So they have a BI product. So I don't have to build a BI product in-house. So we feed this information to them, and they decide that, okay, you are buying this part from 10 vendors probably. Why don't we just go with only 2 vendors and have an economy of scale and get a better price? So they help us to do that. And also what they do is that, okay, which vendor is better than the other, meaning that they have the market information. So they know, they have the information from other manufacturer. They grab all those information, and then they say with that, okay, this is the vendor you should go with. So that we can really leverage our procurement with that. Also, that consortium help us to buy a product with other vendor as well. So we have another XYZ manufacturing facility, they also buy the same product, we buy the product, they say, well, we can combine all of them together with their analytic tool, and we will get a better price. So we have gone in that model, and that really paid us off. So here is the go. Here is the one thing is that it came to us that should we really build it in-house or go outside? So we clearly saw there is a huge advantage to go outside. So it's always important that how the BI strategy is working with our business strategy. Then comes the sales. Of course, salespeople are always demanding. They always need more information than IT can provide. So we have sales cubes. So we have empowered the salespeople. They are a little savvy in the spreadsheet, more so. Slice and dice data trained, and how much sale I have done with the specific vendor in a specific location, kind of things, which region, which item we are selling, year to date, period to date, all information they are looking for. So we have provided them the sales cube. Again, sales cube is something which we can do inside, because that's our internal information. We really did not want to give it to a third party how much sale we do with each vendor. So we have decided that we should have it in-house. We have built our sales cube with Microsoft technology, and salespeople loves it, and of course they are looking for some more information. Any questions you have so far? I'm going probably too fast. Go ahead.
Sure. So if you use the consortium and then you have the Microsoft technology, how do you blend together to get kind of one source of truth, since you don't want to send out the sales, the procurement, and the finance piece?
So this good question, Derek. So here is the things that you really don't want to use the consortium for all of your information. So here you are talking about only the procurement. So in the procurement, what we do, the consortium tells us that, okay, there is a specific format, typically XML or spreadsheet format. This is the information I need from you, like vendor, item, location, date, parts, and many other attributes. So we pull the information from the ERP systems once in a year, and then the way we will be doing it is that we will be sending the information once in a quarter. So we extract this information from different ERP systems worldwide, put it in the same format, and send it to them once in a quarter. Because really, when you are buying a nuts and bolts, you don't buy it in a daily basis. You probably have a stock for 3 months or 6 months out. So we really did not see a need that we have to send them this information on a daily basis. And of course, they have a quarter worth of information, and they can decide that, okay, which vendor we should go with, which vendor we should not, and can come up with the decisions. Does it give you an answer? All right. Anything else? Go ahead, John.
Is that reliable information you're getting back, since they're not under contract per se at that time?
They are in a contract. We will not send any information to the third party without having a right firm contract and get the sign from, preferably from their CEO, depending on the organization. Yes.
So just sort of a picture into how you run your contracts. Do you run it based on a range of volume they might order from, or is it an exact amount and they order above that, and they get nicked if they don't use their product short of their order?
Well, that is something, I think it's a mixed blend. That is something procurement folks can tell probably. That is not something I deal with. But all I care about from the IT perspective, they should have the ability to slice and dice data in any way they want to and protect the data. And that gives them the business value. Sometimes they go with the volume, sometimes they don't. So, but again, I think there is a contract we have with the third party as well, that, okay, we are paying you this much of money. You show me that I'm going to save this much of dollar amount in a year time frame or whatever. So we have this kind of contract in place.
I'm just curious about it. It may not be really applicable to CMS, but the gentleman had already talked to you about the ability to predict whether there was going to be a KE in the healthcare industry. And so, does your procurement, are they interested in looking to predict if that customer is really going to fulfill the contract or fall short, or essentially not sign next year's contract per se? And they're not willing to tell you that, so you need to use other data to sort of try to figure that out.
Exactly. So now again, it's still two different again about our business, right? If you think about CSM, we don't sell anything with a $500 invoice or $1,000 invoice, right? It's all about B2B. So we know how the company is doing. We do a credit check kind of things. We know some of them are flagged that this is the customer we will not go with. So with that, probably we have some kind of predictivity. But again, we don't have millions of customers, unlike in the healthcare industry where you have individual person is a customer, right? They have different kind of behavior. And with the organization also, since we are doing the business with the company, we have more information, public information in hand, so that we can decide on that. But again, it comes with which one we'll go with. That's something finance and salespeople decide on that. But they have the information from us.
I guess we'll be starting to get a big data discussion later on.
All right.
What you're saying to me is this is not big data yet.
Yeah, they're not ready. So how am I doing on the time? Good, good, okay. So comes the plant maintenance and the operation, right? Plant maintenance is a place where you can think about the Internet of Things, IoT, machine language, machine information, any heartbeat. The belt is moving on. And I really wanted to say, and it's if you think about the belt, maybe it's a 1 mile long belt in a plant. And everywhere it needs to perform the way it should be with a benchmark. And you can think about humongous data is coming out of this plant and it's running 24/7. But really, do we need all information, or maybe we can select to a specific part of the information, and that probably give me the value what I'm looking for. So it's all about the business case. I was talking about somebody before this presentation here, that all about the business case. What's the compelling business case? Do I really need to grab more information, or maybe the limited information will serve me the purpose? So with the plant maintenance, we started doing some big data. I'll not get there because it was like a one of a wonder. But right now, the way we do it, again, we have used a third-party off-the-shelf tool that, and of course, the SaaS model that really helped us. So we have, and Eric was involved in that project, the patch I'm talking about. So we have those planned where we get the heartbeat every 5 minutes or so. We get that, we receive that information, and of course we have a benchmark about each line that how that performance is should be, and this information is already uploaded to a third-party tool. Now I'm getting a real-time information every 5 minutes, but not from every sector. In a strategic way, we have put it strategic way. We have laid the heartbeat listener instrument, so that we are not bombarded with too much of information. We get this information, we send it to the third party. Again, it's analytic, real-time analytic is running on their premises, and it gives us the real-time exposure about how my plant is doing right now. Is it down? Is it doing really good? Or if it is down, what's the reason about it? And that actually that is helping us. We have just put it in the place, and that is going to help us with our operational excellence. As you know that in the factory, when you are, the person who is working there on the floor may not be the highest paid employee in the organization. So there is always comes with the performance, and how do you monitor that performance? So the product we had before, where they have to enter how they are doing, because we did not have the ability to listen to the heartbeat. So they were saying, okay, this plant is doing, every 1 hour producing this much of product or whatnot. But that was not the right way to capture the operational excellence. So the way we are doing right now with the off-the-shelf analytic tool, that is really helping us with our operational excellence. With the plant operation, there is one more offshore off-the-shelf tool we are using. Again, it has the analytic capability about the parts management, which you talked about before. But here it comes with in the plant itself, which plant should buy which parts from which area, kind of things. the procurement things I talked about before, that was more of a wheat, flour, that which actually produce the cakes and pastries and kind of things. But there is another need there for the plant operation as well. So we use a off-the-shelf analytic tool to address it. Now comes the supply chain. We are in the manufacturing industry, so we produce cakes, pastries, and whatnot. Then what? We have to supply it to the customer, to a third party. How efficiently we are doing it. When I am delivering it, am I delivering in a full case or half case or damaged? And am I delivering on time, or maybe a day late, or maybe an hour late, depending on how critical that customer is. So there are so many KPIs come with the supply chain, and to get that information with the business and to decide and to let them decide which way you should go, which KPI you should look at, that's something needs to come from BI. That's what we are doing in-house. We have so much of information around the logistics, around the distribution. We have again get the information from our ERP systems, put it in our Microsoft BI stack, and have those tools for them to look at. So there are many other BI applications we have in the CSM, but time is in essence. I will go to the other industry in retail. So I worked at Macy's almost 12 years as a solution architect, doing a lot of BI stuff for them. And Macy's is a classic example of using the BI strategy very well so that they can react to the business quickly. In the retail, that buzzword is about omni-channel, which is going on for a while right now, and everybody has to be in the omni-channel. Matter of fact, Amazon has opened their first brick and mortar store. I mean, Amazon, we know that they are going to sell online, but they are in the brick and mortar business. So they also wanted to go in the retail industry, the four-wall brick structure. And probably if Amazon does it right, maybe they will be the first company to do it correctly with our omni-channel strategy. But coming back to the Macy's, with the omni-channel, you have, omni-channel is about, I am selling a product anywhere with any devices, the look and feel, the experience should be the same. So it can be from iPad, mobile, internet, store, and whatnot. Now we have a Macy's.com, which is very, our sale was going more than $1 billion with the .com business, and it was growing. And it has been growing. We have some, Macy's has some strategic warehouse across the North America, but then they could not leverage the inventory in the store. For example, you are buying it something from here on the internet, and really that product is there in the Cumberland Mall. Maybe if somebody can pick up from the Cumberland Mall and then drop it off to you, the cost is going to be minimal. Instead, but before the omni-channel, I think right now also to some extent that product, even though you are buying it from here, that is coming from somewhere from Arizona, and it is coming you 3 days to come here. It takes you 3 days to come here. So that's the challenge you have the omni-channel. How do you take those inventory and just match with the customer need, and then deliver it in the right time? So since Macy's have gone with their BI strategy way like in mid-90s, with their strategy how I wanted to store my information in the right architecture, and leverage that architecture so that I can react to the business. That really paid Macy's off with the omnichannel, and you can see in the market that how Macy's is doing. They are really having a good stock price and all those things just because of the omnichannel, how the strategy was put in place. And with the omnichannel also, Macy's actually came up with another business strategy. It's called My Macy's. My Macy's is about even though it's a $27 billion company, Macy's is right now, so world, mostly in the North America. Even though I am in Atlanta, I have a product which is probably sold everywhere, maybe in the California, Florida, or Connecticut. But I should have some merchandise just for Atlanta market, maybe for Falcon, or maybe for Hawks. So have a feel of like a local feel about the Macy's. So that's called a My Macy's. Even though I go to a big retail, I feel like I'm at home. I'm at a moms and pops neighborhood store. So how do you go about it? That's what the My Macy's was about, and that's something came from Macy's CEO, who is still the CEO, Terry Lundgren. So to react to that business, we really need to have all those information in the right place, and we can react to it, and we can grab the information quickly. EDW really helped us to get there, and we roll out that My Macy's, I think in a couple of years, which was impressive. We rolled out with few stores, and then we rolled out across the nation, and that actually helped our top line really with our EDW. That was EDW is our enterprise data warehouse. Now I worked at Macy's a lot with the inventory. Inventory is the store inventory, not the warehouse inventory. You have a warehouse management systems, and you have a inventory systems at the store as well. You have the rack where you have all those your shirts and all the dresses, but in the back office also you have some of it, and then some of them are coming from the warehouse. How do you cope up with it? How do you know that you really have 80 of this piece in Cumberland Mall or in the Dunwoody, and you can account for it? So that's the inventory you really need to track, or else you are going to lose money. I mean, at Macy's, I know that our rate was, when I was last there, our damage was almost like 1%, close to 1% of the total sales. That's a huge number. And if you can cut down the damage because of the theft, because of the displacement, that will really help your bottom line, and that like eventually your profit. At Macy's, we are using a perpetual inventory as well as the the annual inventory, which typically the other store used to use. That you close the store for a day or two. You go to shop, no, the store is closed because you are taking an inventory, annual inventory. It's not the case anymore because of the RFID technology, because the way we are at Macy's mainly, so RFID technology is in big use, as well as the architecture we are using in Macy's for the BI. And matter of fact, in BI is used, we are using Teradata, not we, I mean I used to be there. So Macy's uses Teradata mainly so, and now they are going with Oracle Exadata a little bit. So it's a mix of both, but mainly so Teradata, and that really, Teradata is expensive, extremely expensive, but really it paid us off. With the inventory also, there was the inventory information comes from different disparate platform, like the IBM. You have the OS 390. You have some AS 400. You have the Windows Server. Information is coming from there. You have Oracle, and you have Sybase. The different platform you have, information is coming in the Teradata. We have the inventory system also, which we have built in-house, and that also gives that slice and dice data for the inventory owner. Of course, we have the finance reporting. One more thing I wanted to mention about the EDW that really paid us off at Macy's. Back in 2006 or 2006, I believe, Macy's acquired May department store. That was another $15 or $16 billion company. They have the brand name like, what is that? May, and then they had Filene, and there are some more other like big brand name they had. Now, Macy's was a $15 billion business. They bought another $15 billion business. Guess what? Your system should grow like 2 times too, right? So we have to be strategically poised so that you can do the acquisition the right time, or in the as smoothly as possible. With that EDW structure was on place, it was a little, I mean, it was almost seamless. We acquired as big as Macy's company. We have rolled all the information in our EW structure. We have identified right there in a couple of months around $54 million, $54 million which we could not have recouped if we would not have used the EW. It was all about the vendor buyback. It's, in the retail industry, you have a concept of okay, I will have your commodity. I'm going to put it here, but if I cannot sell certain number of commodity, then I'll return it back to you, and you have to give me money back because in the retail space you have used. This is the common strategy in the retail industry. So May department store had that information too, but they had a different disparate systems to have that. So grab this information, marry it with our Macy's information, and to show them, hey, you have to go and claim this dollar from those vendor, and that EW really helped us to recoup again around $54 million. Let's go back to how am I doing the time? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. Is inventory customized by store? Like, do you include demographics data, say this is a younger demographic around the store, older here?
True, absolutely. So as I told you that about the My Macy's concept, right? My Macy's is about the look and feel about that concept, about the store, as well as a demographic. Is it a Hispanic base or is it Asian base? Depending on, or sometimes you have a demographic where people are very active. So you really don't want to have the large size or XL size, and some of the places people may not wash their food. So we have the larger size.
Lost your mic.
Oh, sorry about that. Good. Sorry. So yeah, we have so they have the capability of that information. So again, to do these things, you really have to have the platform. You have to slice and dice the data quickly so that you can react to it quickly.
I go back to the days when Sears was one of the top retailers, and
Not anymore, yeah.
I worked with them when before the word BI ever came up, we did analytics for Sears. So whenever we're going to open a new store somewhere in the United States, we actually did all the analytics to determine what inventory got put in there, where it was put, how much they bought. So they knew all that. This was 40 years ago.
How did you do it? What kind of tool did you use?
Mathematical modeling from all the data they had collected over we used a 5-year window of similar stores in a geographic
You're right,
area.
yes.
And so we used their own data,
Mhm.
and then we analyzed it, and then we projected what they would put in that store.
Yes, that's very important, because what they say and what you have in the number may not match, because you have acquired the company. So somebody in the other side of the fence may not be a happy person in the world that time. So you have to be very careful with that number. Yes, so you have to.
So what's happening now in retail? Are they still looking at projections if they're going to open a new store?
Oh,
what
yes.
goes in the store using what we call BI?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, without that, you just can't even compete with the business.
So they'll know what location, where they should put it in the city, the street corner, and all that, based on all the analytics.
Yes, absolutely, and of course we we have many consultants come in from different consulting firms to come to get our data and analyze that, how we are doing, where we should. So which is our ideal customer, for example. So for example, few years back, the ideal customer for Macy's was a woman in their between 30 and 35 years old, or between 25 and 35 years old, independent women, and some of the attributes. So that was a demographic. Now the model is changing. We are going towards a millennial. So that's where the business is growing. So but how do you get to that? We have to analyze all this information, and that comes from the EW.
So you take a company like Walmart, who actually is collecting data on everybody that comes in the store that's not paying cash, okay? Because they're able to track where they're buying everything, and they're actually looking at the inventory. And what they've done is they've made trying to get the price as low as they can. They take that inventory and they will tell the competitors what the other competitor is selling and have them work against each other to come up with what the best price would be. So it's not like where you have to go out and try to figure out what the competitor is doing. They would take and give that information to get the best price out of their vendors.
Yeah, Walmart has so much of information. I'm not sure if the credit card company has that much of information because they. Go ahead.
You described a vendor buyback scenario a moment ago where you could
Yeah.
track, the inventory so you could give
Yeah.
it back to the
Mhm.
That virtually minimizes or eliminates their risk, doesn't it? If they have to purchase the goods and they know they're just going to give it back anyway. I know Home Depot, were they the pioneers of doing that where they forced the vendor to take responsibility for the
It's all about who has the power in the market, right? So everybody wants to have a little space at Macy's so that they can grow their business. So yes, I mean, I'm not sure if they are pioneer, but this is a common practice in retail.
It's been out there for 30, 40 years.
Yeah, yeah,
It's considered a consignment, really what it's called.
exactly.
And what you do is you put it in there, and if you don't sell it, you return it.
So they're not forced to purchase the goods?
Well, they do
upfront?
floor planning. There's a whole way of selling.
Whole size profiling and floor planning, yes, sizing, yeah,
You're actually
allocation.
financing part of it and actually paying the part of it.
Yeah, there. I'm sorry. So there are many other BI tools we use at Macy's, which is, I mean, I touched probably. This is like a tip of the iceberg kind of things. I mean, go ahead. You first. Yeah.
A lot of questions have been about getting inventory in the stores. How about, does fashion determine when the inventory comes out, or do you use analytics to say, hey, this is not selling, we'll pull this sooner than, I mean, I like to buy last year's model car, but I can't do it today. I gotta wait till the, next year model comes out in August or something like that.
Yes.
Fashion, it comes out more rapidly.
True.
So how do you do prediction on what needs to come out of the stores in
Yeah.
losses?
So there are many things Macy's does. I mean, we have the in-house tool, but we realize that I mean, not me anymore, but that's the way. I think it is the same way right now. Is that they realize that the in-house expertise is not sufficient to predict that information. So what we do is that we collect information from our systems and we give it to a third party. There is a third party who does the data crunching. Humbry, it starts with Hembry. It's based in UK. I can get you the name. They are helping Kroger and Publix as well. So this company, we give them the data, all data. We have just set up this server for them. We send this information, millions of records, terabytes, gigabytes of terabytes of data, and they crunch the information, and then they come up with their strategy, the pricing strategy as well. With the pricing strategy, Macy's went with a product for SaaS, and finally I think we had to pull the plug off after spending hundreds of millions of dollars. Somehow it did not just work out, but again, yes, we use a third party as well as in-house tool. You have something. Go ahead.
There's no one behind me.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I'll cut it there.
What are the best practices for mitigating risk of data quality problems?
This is a very good question because that is a challenge we always have for the data quality, right? Again, I think it's about knowing your business, having the subject matter expert, working with data. You can have data, so much of data coming in there, but to get the quality around it, you have to have the subject matter expert as well as you have to have the technical architecture around it. Is that you should have always a one source of truth. In the data warehouse, if you have information coming from different sources for the same item, then you lose the integrity. So your slicing and dicing data may give you different results in different ways. So it is very important how do you have a governance around the source of truth. So people will say, no, dump the data in data warehouse, we'll make a data mart, we'll have a ODS, right, and then we'll make something out of it. It can be part of it. ODS or the data mart are a really good strategy, but they should not be part of your data warehouse strategy. They are on their own, you do your own, but don't mix up with your main data warehouse structure.
So how do you have one source of truth with you're pulling from multiple systems? Let's say you have a large enterprise level organization that has, you know, merger acquisitions, right? They haven't completely integrated all their systems, and you know they're comparing, you know, multiple data feeds across, you know, let's say it's a consumer insights initiative, for
Mhm.
instance, or something like that, right? So how do you have one source of truth?
Yeah.
for that?
Well, so if you have disparate sources, you really have to understand that. For just take an example, right? I have a specific item. I sell it to Walmart, and I sell it to say another vendor sell it to Kroger, right? But the selling it to the Kroger information is in two systems, but who really has originated the sale? Maybe the company X, right? And my company has generated the sale for Walmart. I have replicated the information there in both places, but really again understand your business that okay, from that other systems I'm going to source in the information which you guys have sold. I'm not going to get the information for what I have sold. That information you may have it, right? So you have a filter, so you are only sourcing in that information only which has originated from that system, not the replicated information it has. And the same thing applies to my company as I'm giving you two example, right? So in this system also I have those sales record from this company as well as this company, but I'm going to extract only the sales I have originated from this company, not the replicated information I have from the other company. That's how you can limit like one source of truth. And frankly speaking, if you have multiple ERP systems, I really need to know about it so that I can go there and make it a one ERP systems, right? So that you have only one source of truth.
Have you ever experienced? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Have you ever experienced the challenge of relying on other internal stakeholders to deliver data into data lakes or something like that, and questioning whether, you know, are they pulling from the one source of truth?
Oh yeah, this is always a challenge as well, because as I mentioned before, you have a period end, right? You have a month end process. At the end of the month, you produce your financial results, and that results goes all the way up to the CEO. That number better be right? So if you don't have a one source of truth, you come up with this number that you show that on Wednesday, probably after the period end, but then down the line after 2 weeks, another salesperson comes and no, we did not make $100 million. We really make $80 million. So you cannot do that. So that is always a challenge to keep with the one source of truth, and having multiple ERP systems may not be the right way to go, but it comes with a lot of delicacy about the politics and persuasion, business behavior needs to change. There are so many things comes with it. So having a one system comes from all the way from the top. You or me, if we are trying to make it happen, will not make it happen because we have to change the business behavior. No problem.
So old cliches still apply: garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. So have to have the governance around it, data quality.
I was just going to say, when I worked with Macy's, they were trying to solve that problem by putting NCR cash registers in that were capturing the data. They standardized on that, and then what they were doing is, one of the things about inventory and fashion and retail is that you want to catch the bell-shaped curve on sales.
Yes.
Okay? So what they're always looking for is the sales going up, do I need more, or is it reached the top and I need to unload, okay? So they look at the trend across the whole country, and they look for trends to see the bell-shaped curve is going down. So they use analytics, and they see a ripple effect across the country. They start dumping and putting things on sale and stop the ordering. So that's a big part of the inventory control in analytics.
Yes,
And they're
very
able
much
to
so.
do that by standardizing the input.
And it comes with the shelf life too. How many days that specific inventory is on the shelf, because you are the inventory cost goes up. And so I have seen recently though, if you at Macy's, I mean I love Macy's to buy most of my stuff from Macy's probably. Few years back, if you go to the Macy's, you will see a lot of things on sale. I mean, it's a dirt cheap price. You probably don't see it that often right now because of this data we are giving to the third party. They are coming up with that idea about what should be the right pricing model. Should I should I go down with my price, or should I just keep it that way for 7 days or so and then go with that way? And I think Macy's is holding the price longer than before, and we'll see how it works. Anybody has any other questions here? No? All right. I think I don't have enough time. Derek is waving his hand, so let me go to the real quick with the BIUs in transportation real quick. Here is where we are using a big data concept. This is another project I am doing right now with the Georgia Department of Transportation, and working with Georgia Tech as well. What we are trying to do is getting the information, the real-time information about the traffic. As you know, probably I don't know if you know it or not. We have around 65,000. You're checking. Do you know about it?
No, but I feel it every day.
Yeah, I feel every day, right? I'm stuck on the traffic, right? Okay, where do I go? I mean, what's the expectation? How long it will take? Your Google Map tells you, though, this way to go or whatever, but it constantly changes. I don't know if you use the Google or WhatsApp or any kind of app which will tell you which way to go faster when you leave from home, but it just changes like every 5 minutes. It's like, dang, I may have probably stick to my older route. Probably that would have been better. The information is there. Information is out there. But how do you use the information? And especially so, it's important when it's a life-threatening event. How do you predict how much of accident you are going to have? How do you deploy your hero unit across Atlanta? How do you respond to a fatal accident with your 911 facility? So all those analytics, this information or the trend, this information is still there. We're there just to grab it and have to predict. It comes with a predictive analysis, and maybe we can go with a artificial intelligence, but we are in the predictive analysis mode right now, trying to grab the information and putting in a architecture. Well, even though we are thinking about it as a big data kind of things, but it doesn't mean that I have to go with Hadoop, right? So we are using, believe me or not, we will be using a MySQL. Which is open source. MySQL is small, but no, if you go with your clustered enterprise MySQL, that can leverage. You can use the NoSQL. The bandwidth gets really, we can get the real power out of it. But you need to know how to use the MySQL, and it's going to be cheaper too, and it will be easier to find the resource. With the transportation, what we are going to do, we have done some of it as well. Some of the real-time dashboard, and this is not something we are going to expose to our users yet. It is going to be used by the government. All those dials where you can see that how, and there are a few more things. I just slap one slide here. How the traffic is doing right now. This is of course not a real-time data, but we captured the information from our I think it's a year old or maybe few months older information. With that, you should be able to tell how things are happening and how we should react to the traffic. There are many more things coming with the transportation. We have some big ideas about it. Let me see how successful we can get, and hopefully I can share my experience with you in another conversation. All right. So the last topic is big data. I know I am running out of time. Real quick, big data. Of course, if you don't talk about big data, it's not complete, right? The BI cannot complete without saying big data. So it's a myth to me, big data. There is a saying going on the LinkedIn. Probably you have heard about it, about big data, and I really like that comment or that is that big data is almost like a teenage fling. Like it seems like they think that everybody is doing it, but they don't know how to do it, but they have to tell everybody that no, I am doing it. So that's the look at the big data. And really, so I mean, it is recently in the Gartner also they have produced a report is that the expectation on the big data is tapering right now, because we had a high expectation that big data is going to do a wonder for us. But the real question is that what's the business case around it? Really, I need the big data, or I may get by with a limited number of data. Quickly, in my thought.
I actually have a question.
Oh, go ahead. No, okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Derek.
I have a question. So, is there a definition around business intelligence and big data? Is there a definition? Are they the same? It's like we were
Same.
talking earlier. Cloud computing is the way of mainframe and green screen, right? It's somewhere in the
It's-
back office, and you have a dumb terminal or whatever. We're talking the same thing.
It's same thing. It's the same thing. I mean, cloud computing is all about the utility, right? I mean, there is a great example about digressing a little bit. I wanted to bring that example. 100 years back, if you are constructing a manufacturing plant, you have to have your power plant generation with you. You have to have a power plant, or else you cannot have a manufacturing plant. You don't do it anymore because that's not your core competency. Power plant is generated by the power plant, and then you have in the grid, you tap into that power and you just run your business. Same thing is going to be with the cloud. It's just it will be running all over. You tap into there, you use it as much as you can, and off you go. You are not investing money there. I'm just digressed there, though. Okay, go
I
ahead.
would just say, big data, business intelligence are all words that consultants have come up with to sell the next generation of consulting. And you'll keep getting new terminology that always goes back to what
That's-
I called analytics, 30 or 40
You-
years ago.
You,
okay?
you are right.
Just keep coming up with
Yes.
new terminology, and then they try to, like you say, how do you make a definition of what that is?
No, yes.
Because you can only make so many definitions of the same thing.
Yes, and that's why I started with that comment before, right? It's a teenage things. Nobody knows what they're doing, but they really have to tell I'm doing it, or else I'm out of the business.
I was just, I keep saying like stupid, but.
All right. So, but again, but to your point, yes, big data, BI, they are essentially the same thing. It's another jargon you are talking about. How much data is a big data? It's a debatable question. What do you mean? Is how much of data? So.
Isn't it really just to deliver actionable information, like the slide before where you have the dashboard?
Yes, true. But the thing is that you have to think about it that IoT, Internet of Things are coming. So you have too much of data coming in, right? How do you process it? How quickly you process it? That architecture is going to change, right? In the big data, the important concept which I really like about the distributed HDFS framework, right? Distributed framework. There's nothing to share, and you have so much of CPU power for so cheap price. You should be able to cluster them. That's what I'm using the MySQL. You cluster many machines for $300, $400. You can get it in the Amazon, and then you stack them up, capture the information, maybe with no string or no framework or like unstructured data, and then you form them. It can be Hadoop, it can be MySQL, it can be done with other technology, maybe SQL Server, but it's not that strong. But that's what it is. But to me, is that main point is that if you really wanted to talk about the big data, I mean, to me, big data is too much of data I'm handling with, which I have never experienced before, and how do I go about it? How do I make a business case around it, and how do I make a business happy around it? So there are few important things I think we really need to look at, and I think it is applicable to the BI too, business intelligence too. But there's a little tweak there in the sense that, of course, strategy framework, that's extremely important. What is your business strategy? I started with the BI strategy, with our business strategy. Same thing falls in the big data too, that leadership is coming in with their business strategy. Okay, this is the capability I have in the IT. Can I really address all the business strategy with it, or I have to go with a different framework, distributed network probably? That could be the big data. So that's what we really need to look into our strategy and how that framework is going to be applicable to big data. Comes with the opportunity landscape. Typically, if anybody has started a big data project, they typically start with a smaller section or a small opportunity, and just to test the water, how it is working, or does it really make sense before investing too much of money there. That's the landscape you build, and from there, if it really flies, and business really likes it, then you find out what's the opportunity you have there. And that landscape you can mesh with your strategy framework. So that's the look at. Again, it's the same philosophy, but just looking at not going all, not investing all of our money in the big data. We have to go with the pragmatic approach. The managing the projects and projects expectation and the team. I was talking with somebody here before this presentation, is that it's really hard to find the big data consultant, like a Hadoop consultant, and it is you have to spend fortune to have that big data consultant with you. So how do you manage those projects? That's extremely important. It is not, and also managing the project is that we talk about our Scrum, we talk about our agile methodology or our normal SDLC approach, waterfall approach. With big data, probably we may have to change that approach a little bit, because really the project manager who is going to be the Scrum master or being the project manager for the SDLC may not be aware of how that big data is going to work. It may work, it's going to be a POC kind of thing, proof of concept, and from there you just scale it up. So that project methodology, maybe we'll be using some of the attributes from the different thought process, but it will be a unique combination of all of them. Just take some of the waterfall thought process, agile thought process, and make it a business case. Because with the agile, you can go in the la land, right, and may not produce something. And with the big data, you may end up with that if you go with the agile methodology. So you really have to have the vision about what exactly you are going to achieve. Monetization of big data, as I said, that I don't want to invest too much of money in the big data, and at the end of the day, I don't have any ROI. So really, business has to buy into that. Any project comes with the monetization. Big data is another things we really need to look at. We should not go with the hype and spend money, and then at the end of the day, we lose money, not get anything back. Go ahead.
Yeah, a practice that I've seen put in place in a lot of organizations is, if they're going to stand up a big data practice, then they'll put in place a paid for performance type of structure, where if you have internal customers, let's say it's telco, and you're trying to drive self-service adoption, reduce calls to a call center, whatever it may be, they'll put a dollar value to
Yes.
it. The product that you're delivering, they will track it, basically say, you manage your own P&L.
Yes.
Right? If your organization is profitable, you guys make money.
Yes, it makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. You're spot on. That's the one more thing we need to really look into when I'm looking at the BI. And of course, manage the change and communication. Again, you have a business hype, big data is coming, it is going to solve my problem, I can sit tight and then everything will be done. I don't have to do anything. So that's the expectation or the change, expectation you have to manage with the business. And of course, it comes with if your big data is really working for you, you may have to change your organization as well. How they do the business, that may change drastically because you have more information than ever. So you can make some decision which you are not able to make before without a lot of people working on it. So that thing will come with the big data when when really it gets matured in an organization. But there are many more bullet points in the big data, but I would love to talk with you after this presentation. So that's all I have. Any questions? I know I got, have took some more time. Any questions I can ask? Anything, or maybe after this presentation? Good? All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.